the actual taxes on home building being about 31%. They're taking that up front.
Front, yeah.
While you're the developer, you get your money, after the government gets paid, after the contractors get paid, after everyone else gets paid, the bank gets paid, and then maybe 5, 10 years from now, you'll make your 15 to 20% that you want to get.
This episode is brought to you by Shrubs.me.
Now we hear this week, I guess it was this week, they have a brilliant new plan, right? What do they call it? Build Canada Homes. $16 billion fund that goes towards building affordable units. Did we just get an echo? That was weird. What do you think about this whole plan?
And a bylaw run.
Yeah, and run by a ward
Politician.
councillor. Yeah.
Does the government have a role to play in building homes? Yes, I think it does. I'm not sure it's going to be the solution. I'm not sure it's going to be as big as they're talking about. Is there a big benefit for prefab development? Yes, I was at a presentation just the other day about an apartment builder that's not doing prefab, but is doing development that is damn close to prefab. And so, are there better construction techniques that can be used? And things that are more like Lego blocks that you can put together and build homes more efficiently and cheaper? There's no question. We are building homes today like the way we did build 50 years ago. And so is there some productivity and technological improvements that we can put in place? Yes. That said, I think the big opportunity is private-public partnerships. It's government either giving or renting land. And so, Downsview Park is as I mentioned, one example. Lakeview, which was at one point in time owned by the province. I think that governments can make land available to developers in a partnership where they take out their money longer term as part of the equity, and we can get homes built a lot quicker. You think about development fees, you think about HST. You'd think about, all the other fees that governments charge. They are taking the money, and I think, people have talked about the actual taxes on home building being about 31%. They're taking that up front.
Up front, yeah.
While you're the developer, you get your money, after the government gets paid, after the contractors get paid, after everyone else gets paid, the bank gets paid, and then maybe 5, 10 years from now, you'll make your 15 to 20% that you want to get. So government should be taking their money, if any, out longer term. So does government have a role to play? Yes. Has government backed off their involvement in housing since, 1995, 1996, particularly in social housing? Yes. So is there something government should be doing? No question. I'm not sure what they're currently talking about is the right way. Probably in a small way, yes, but I think there's other really smart and important ways. I think development fees are the biggest. If the federal and provincial governments started giving cities some of the money they're going to lose from development fees in exchange for them reducing development fees to zero, I think that would do more than almost anything else. If you had the HST reduced to zero immediately for both condos as well as purpose-built rentals, and no matter whether it's a first-time buyer or any buyer, I think you would see more development right away. If you said every regulation got thrown out after 10 years if it wasn't renewed, so that you got rid of the red tape instead of always adding on to the red tape, I think you get development going. If you took the major transit station areas and you said, we're going to give you the right to develop as of right something, I don't know whether it's 20 stories or 40 stories or what it is density, but the problem is, I use this example a lot in the past, but there's a street in Mississauga where almost every house put on a backyard deck, but every house needed to go to the committee of adjustment to put on that backyard deck. If you know that every house wants a backyard deck and you're going to approve it, make it as of right.
Yeah.
Don't make everyone go through the whole planning and approval process. We're adding red tape and regulation like crazy. Get rid of it. And so it makes it easier for developers to get things done as of right. And I'm not saying you approve everything, but figure out what you're going to approve ultimately. When something like over 90% of all of the proposals that go to the Ontario Land Tribunal ultimately get approved, what that says is they're going to get approved. So let's realize things and approve them right away. I think every city in the Greater Toronto Area has got an economic development department that spends time attracting businesses to their communities, and a planning and development department that tries to make it harder for people to bring business. If you change the whole orientation of planning and development and made it more like economic development, because that's what it is, and said, I want to attract homes. I want to build homes. I want to grow my city. I want to make for a better place. And I'm not going to restrict everything. I'm going to try to encourage everything. I think you change your attitude. Have a consumer orientation rather than a regulation and restriction orientation.